It's been a while since I've shown anything. We had an ordeal where we lost this guy for 5 nights. He was away from home, so kind of pumped the brakes on the progress on this guy on the car, but we got him back and he's happy and healthy yet, so we're all good there. So I was working on the brakes, trying to figure out where I wanted to mount this T for the front brakes. Then I realized, I started thinking, well, you're not gonna have much clearance here with the wheels and everything. So I ended up drilling a hole there, and it worked out perfect where you can kind of set the prong of this, worked out perfect where you can set the prong of this T up in the hole there. And I thought, you know what? It'll be perfect to have my brake lines come through kind of at this back corner of the shock tower. So you can see there where the light's shining through. Yeah. Anyway, you can see where the light's shining through there. It's kind of like at a nice spot at the back corner. And then I'm thinking I'm going to run all my Hydro Boost lines up from the power steering pump here up to there. Then run everything back down to the power steering rack instead of trying to finagle it out and through the inner fender well here when I'm gonna have some big old meets out here. Again, thinking more of function than fit and finish here, but still I want it to look halfway decent, but I thought it'll look okay with having all of my power steering lines and everything kind of coming up through this area, because we're still gonna have a clutch cable, still gonna have all the brake lines. I'm thinking I'm gonna slim down the wiring here so that all that I have coming forward is the wiring for all the front lighting in the car. So I probably will tuck that and do just kind of the easy wire tuck. I'll probably just run it up from here and up through this hole in the shock tower, strut tower, and up to the front of the car there. But I just popped the strut out of the way just quick enough so that I could get a hole drilled in there. So I'll get that cleaned up. So I'll run a line down from there and then run the line right up to where the brake cable is here. I do have e-brake cables and a bunch of other stuff on order so that I can finish the plumbing to the rear, but I'm going to have the front rear brake lines come up and through here, and I'm still debating how I'm going to run the brake line up and over to the other side, if I'm going to run it, if I'm going to run it up and through the cowl, or if I just want to run it back and up through here and underneath that pinch weld there, just to have it kind of neat and clean looking, and just have it tucked up underneath that pinch weld there. I think that's probably going to be the best option, I think. Maybe I will run a couple clips through here, or maybe I'll use these holes here, existing holes, for running some brake clips or something, or clips for that brake line there. But that's the progress that I have for now. So I'm going to work on getting this back up and in place and start finagling some brake lines. All right, this brake line was a little tricky, so I ran one from the master cylinder down to this T for the front. So you can see it's a pretty simple one here. Just starts at the master cylinder. I drilled a hole in kind of the corner of the strut tower there and ran it through to this T. So you can see it's about a 7.5 inch long line with 2 bends. Probably took about an hour and a half to kind of dink around with it and kind of get it the way I wanted. The wire wasn't perfect, the wire form I started with. So here's the next one. So I just kind of held it up in place. So this is an old wire coat hanger, and cut it to a length that I thought would work. And this is kind of what I'm thinking here, is running it kind of back and along the strut tower and up to the this front brake hose. So I'm going to work on bending this one up next. This one might be a little tricky. All right, so I got this tube bent. I did use kind of a wire form to kind of get an idea of, at least for the length. All right. So at least get the length, and I did go a little bit shorter from what I had with the wire form, and just kind of bent this NICOP in place, just to come to the end here to find out this 3/8 fitting is too small, so I need to get a couple 7/16 fittings there. So not a big deal, but I do have one from another brake line, and I think I'm just gonna cut this one apart, peel this one off, put it on there, and at least get this one in place. And then probably call it a night there. Actually, I might call it a night there for now and finish that up tomorrow. And if worse comes to worse, because I'll probably have to straighten this out a little bit to get it into the tool to flare. So maybe I'll have to just start with a whole new tube there again and get that done. But not a big deal. Actually, once I had it up in place here and just kind of started bending it around, this NICOP bends pretty easy by hand. So it's actually pretty easy to kind of get it formed and into place there. And I did grab like some other tubing to try to bend this around, just to get kind of a nicer, smoother bend without kinking it. But it looks like it's coming out pretty good. So I almost got this one done, and then I'll figure out what I want to do for getting up and over to the other side. And hopefully I'll have some e-brake parts so I can get that up in place, and then figure out how I'm going to run the rear brake line and get that proportioning valve up in place. Alright, I thought I'd show this since I'm kind of wrapping this up from the front. So I got, you can see the line there from the front. So I had it run from the rear part of the master cylinder, so for the front brake there. So you can see the T, and I had a line ran, and I think I showed before I had the wrong fitting on this end before. So I actually just cut the old ends off and formed a whole new tube. And then I got the rear, not the rear, but the right hand side run up from the T and up just to the firewall, just ahead of the firewall there. So as you can see, or can't see, it's up underneath that pinch weld for the cowl. Then it pops out this other side here. Pops out the other side. Can you see it there? Oh, there we go. So it pops out the other side here and runs up just underneath here and down the shock tower and over to that brake line. So I think I got everything set up. I'm a little bit, kind of wish I would have shortened this up just a hair. Maybe I will pull that out of there and just shorten that up just a little bit. Maybe like take an inch off of it and kind of loop it around a little bit better. Yeah, that's me being picky. So yeah, I'll probably do that. Just take a little bit of length out of here so it doesn't arc down here so far. I think I should be able to do that pretty easy. And then the front's done. I had to order another coil so that I can run from the master cylinder back to the rear. As you can see there's that line hanging out there. I'm thinking I'm going to put the proportioning valve up in there, so I'll probably take that line and shorten it up a little bit. But I just need, I don't know, 10 feet of line or so just to get from the master cylinder back to that. So I'll be working on that. As soon as the next line comes in, I should probably get some clips ordered too. But that's it for that for now. I got more stuff coming for the brakes and the power steering. And some of that's in the Amazon box there that's on the floor.